do you guys know a place called a quant firm called Citadel? They were underneath all that like GameStop like stock stuff. Forget what they do. They're like a liquidity provider or something for, but they also trade against their own clients, something like that. Anyways, they're
Aren't
like
they a
some
hedge fund?
behemoth of hedge fund. And I'm
Yeah.
reading this thing on Reddit, unfortunately, that interns can make up to 500K working there. Interns, dude.
Yeah, probably from like
What the F are we doing?
probably from bonuses and stuff.
But still, bro, for $500,000 as an intern, like that's like, dude, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
And we probably have more skills than that intern.
I don't know, man. You can bullshit your way into like some high-paying jobs, but paying a job that pays $500,000, I think you got to have some skills.
But they're interns.
I mean, to be fair, they could be interns as in like their PhD or master students working on like, I don't know, some crazy algorithm trading stuff.
Sure, then they're not interns.
They're like advanced interns.
Yeah. They're just, yeah. That's hilarious.
Interns with 20 years experience.
I know, right? That's exactly it. I guess what is the definition of an intern? An advanced student or graduate, usually in a professional field such as medicine or teaching, gaining supervised practical experience as in a hospital classroom. Internship. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not your everyday intern.
Exactly.
They're probably like, hey, intern, why don't you optimize this use case to get us 1% more return on like over the year? And the guy's like, oh shit.
Which would be insane.
Well, isn't it just assets under management that they care about?
Pardon?
They just care about assets under management, really.
Yeah, but I think even like Citadel obviously is like an outlier, but most like high frequency trading firms pay really, really well for like engineers or I guess algorithm quant people, but it's the work-life balance I've heard is non-existent.
Yeah.
Like you are under the gun every day.
Yeah, it's
and
usually like you're
in
in the office. You're in the office early, you're staying in the office late, and you're literally living there.
Yeah. I mean, I won't even do that right now, but especially the fact that you have to program in C. Yeah, no, thank you.
Really? I thought they'd be programming in like Python, I guess.
Some of them do, but like for like the stuff that's like has to be super fast.
Right.
Probably have to optimize. They probably get our professor from Mac to like help optimize like their adds and subtracts.
Yeah, the machine level, like what is it called? Oh my god, I forgot that assembly language. Remember, he was like, I casually just optimized the MATLAB function over the weekend with assembly, and we're like, the fuck? Like that's crazy.
It's like, oh, I just went out to a nice restaurant for the weekend. What else? That's what I did.
Yeah, exactly. he's like Russian. He's like, I casually just optimized function over the weekend. We're like, okay. You just casually did that.
Yeah,
I think I know who you're talking about too.
Yeah, it was Ned.
Oh yeah. The guy who looked like a shorter Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. He's super jacked too.
You know, speaking of Mac, they've expanded a lot. Like they have a lot of buildings in the downtown like core now.
Really?
They're nice buildings too. Like I honestly sometimes like I drive by and be like, what the fuck? Where did this building pop up from?
Well, just from us four collectively, they've probably made over like $100,000 to maybe $200,000. Like,
yeah.
Like,
honestly. Their new like engineering, you know, that engineering like extension, it looks so nice. Like
they made another one.
Yeah, like no, the same one. The what is it called? What's that building? The main
JHE.
Yeah, JHE. The extension to JHE. It can like hold cars. It has all these like nice rooms. It's
no
a
way.
Beautiful building. Yeah. Remember they used to come to us and they're like, oh, we're gonna do this extension. Like pay us, and you guys will be doing a benefit for the next like I don't know students in 4 years or whatever. We're like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Nah, yeah, McMaster got paid.
Calls?
What paid? Sorry.
No, McMaster got paid. They got like a massive grant from I think one of the professors. For I think this was specifically for health side though, but the professor was like,
him and then he paid them back.
Yeah, I guess the professor was like super. Maybe I'm misremembering, but he was associated with the university some way. Maybe not as a professor, but they're like a super. Oh right, the Jarvinsky, it's named after them. They're something Jarvinsky couple. They they made a massive donation maybe a few years ago.
Wow, I thought their name was gonna be McMaster.
McMaster hasn't done shit, to be honest, like the actual person.
Yeah.
But like it was, I don't know, I forget what he was. I think he was like a senator or something, and that was it.
Yeah, I have no clue. Like, I'm like, we go to a university named after him. I had no clue about the guy.
Master was also in Toronto until, UFT kicked us out.
Really?
Oh, what? We used to at school.
McMaster was based in Toronto until they
way.
realized like there's already UFT, so they're like, okay, we'll move to Hamilton.
Jeez. And then like Ryerson's like, we learned from that mistake and we're gonna stay.
Well, like
stay
yeah,
put.
Ryerson was originally a polytechnic, right? And then it evolved.
Oh, so it was like a high school?
It wasn't a high school. It was like somewhere in between a college and a university. And then like as it got more like, I guess, funding and programs, they just became a university.
Didn't Ryerson or school recently change their name?
Oh yeah, sorry. TMU.
Yeah. It was Ryerson that changed? It was Ryerson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, damn, I didn't even know
that. What was the issue, Mo?
Ryerson was like a huge proponent of residential schools, is what I remember. Like, yeah, the person it's named after, sorry.
Yeah, not the university itself.
Oh.
Yeah, so that guy was like involved in the residential schools, and it was crazy what had happened. And
residential schools?
Yeah, what's that?
Bro, come on. We're gonna get canceled because of that question, dude. Why'd you ask that?
We'll beep it out. No, I'm just kidding.
Basically, up until, honestly, up until the 90s, Canada had a program where they would honestly forcibly take like Aboriginal children from their parents and put them into boarding schools. And obviously being separated from your community and your parents, like you're in a very vulnerable state, and a lot of them were obviously abused. I think, was it last summer or 2 summers ago, they found like bodies of like unmarked grave, or like they found unmarked graves in a bunch of these residential school sites. So like people always knew shit was going on in these schools, but now like there's proof.
Yeah,
I remember this. So they refer to them as like residential schools.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was the term.
Yeah, neither did I.
And that's why like this guy Ryerson,
he was involved in this.
He was involved in this, and they
named it. It must be 100% true. Otherwise, they wouldn't like change a whole name like that.
Yeah.
So what if you graduated already? So do they like change everything?
Yeah,
I'm sure if you ask, they'd give you a new diploma that says graduate of TMU. But
I gotta talk to my cousin.
Yeah, everything else is the same.
What does TMU stand for?
Toronto Metropolitan University. It's like the most generic name.
Yeah, like why did they do that? Like they should have named it after another guy to figure out he did some shit after 50 years.
Yeah.
But...
I thought they named it after Ted Rogers.
Yeah, he hasn't done any fucked up shit yet.
I mean,
yet.
Who's Ted Rogers?
I mean, he's done fucked up shit, but I'm sure it's all legal.
Ted Rogers.
Ali, don't kill me. You're wearing a red shirt too. That's the best part.
Yeah. The guy, like, okay.
Was that an actual question?
Who's this man? I don't know Ted Rogers.
He founded Rogers Cable Company.
Oh.
Wait, that was an actual question?
The thing was named after him, the Rogers Center?
Yeah, Rogers Center. They have the whole management school named after him.
How is Rogers hasn't done anything shady? Like, there's just...
Of course he has done shady.
Yeah,
no, that was just me, like, saying that.
He's done shading, but like it's all legal stuff, you know.
Because
but
he
I mean,
made
like,
it legal, probably because like the whole like no other network and isn't that a thing? No other network can put up cell towers in Canada.
I didn't know that. That makes sense.
I wonder how you put it up.
Rogers, it's just Rogers, Telus, and Bell. Nobody else is allowed to just enter the market.
Yeah, it's not that no companies allowed. I think the thing is, any telecommunications company has to have like a major stake in like Canadian owned, and it's all already super expensive to put up towers. That's why Freedom for the longest time was struggling. Like even now their cell phone coverage is shit because it takes, I guess, time to set up these networks, whereas like Rogers and Bell, like they had money and they had time to do this over years.
Yeah. And the thing is, right, like it's kind of like what AI is going through right now is all these big companies are creating this AI technology.
You hurt Mo, bro. You hurt Mo deeply. I seen the sadness.
Why?
I was like, this is a switch, but okay, I'll go on with it.
Because AI came up. I seen Mo's sadness.
No, I don't get it. What do you mean?
No. Go.
Mo always jokes that AI makes it into every conversation.
It's true though. It was the only connection I could make to this point.
Most faces. We'll have to watch that.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah. We'll get like a
I
side
gotta watch
emoji. All right.
that should be the thumbnail.
Yeah. Okay, actually, so I'll pivot to another thing then. You know what we could do is, I've been thinking about this idea, is creating networks of our own and creating Wi-Fi's in local towns and charging for it, right? And getting businesses to put up these routers on their like commercial units. So go to downtowns like Aurelia downtown, right? Go there and then go to these shops and say, okay, we're going to set up a network and provide free Wi-Fi to, or not free Wi-Fi to all the people in town everywhere, and we're going to set up these nodes on connected to your internet on top of your kind of commercial units, right? And you set this up and then you get a portion of the profits from that, and we also
Who's
get a portion.
paying?
The customers around town. So
They're paying to access Wi-Fi.
correct,
They might as well
because
pay for their 5G.
yeah, but the thing is, right, it would be much cheaper relatively, right? And secondly, now you're not disconnecting and connecting to different Wi-Fi's, right? And it would be cheaper than your data.
I'm gonna challenge the fact it's gonna be cheaper.
Yeah.
You think so?
I
How
think
much is data?
It's not just data. That like one, you have to have the bandwidth and I guess server capabilities to like properly serve all the residences all the time. And internet usage it's not a one fits all solution, right? Like I guess the average guy could just be watching Netflix and YouTube, and that's their major usage. Other people could be running, I don't know, a mini data server or something. Like I know a bunch of people in Brampton and Mississauga have servers that serve up like pirated Indian movies. Like you're also gonna have to like technically serve him, right?
Yeah, fair.
As well as probably also monitor your own customers to make sure they're not doing anything like illegal,
right?
Well,
well
isn't
as
that how IPTV works?
Yeah, IPTV is like 100% illegal. It's just no one cares enough to.
But technically, you don't have to monitor it because it's kind of like you're acting like a conduit for the person. It's like the
technically
internet
what is the
providers.
situation right now? Like even at home, like does Bell interfere at all? Like if you start doing any criminal stuff, like or your network?
If they ever get a request to say
Yeah.
like this, we want to investigate this guy, they will hand over everything.
Yeah, but then so
Jeez.
what happens if
Legally,
you?
or they just don't give a shit about us. Like Apple. If somebody goes to Apple rejected it. No.
Yeah,
That's different.
No, it's different. I think they won't unlock your phone because they're saying they built the technology in a way that they don't even have. Once they encrypt it, they don't have access to it, and they're refusing to do that. This is more like any records that the company keeps; they'll hand it over. Like
Because you're using their pipes, right?
Yeah.
Technically, and they haven't encrypted it on their.
and they don't care.
yeah, and they don't.
They don't care about you.
They don't give a shit about you. But just you specifically, Ali. Like they give a shit about me, but it's not. But
They keep
I
your
think-
data secure.
yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, it's Coinder? No problem. But I think the issue with like, for example, if you go to a cafe and you do something illegal, is the cafe responsible?
No, but I think the fact that you have such a wider net makes it like more liable that you will catch people doing shady shit. Also, you have to protect each client from each other, right? Because you have one shared network. So you have to like have extra due diligence to make sure no one can snoop the network and transfer malware between the network.
Right.
There's just a lot. I mean, from my mind, there's a lot of engineering headaches that pop up.
So it's like there is a method to do this. Like the reason I came across this is there are people doing it in like Detroit, right?
Yeah,
where they're
it's
setting
called
up these like
mesh networks, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
but it's not really a paid service. It's more like a parallel internet.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm saying let's make it paid service.
There was actually a post on Hacker News, I forget when, but it was entirely a blog post on how to set up your own IP service.
Exactly. And I'm like, why don't we just follow that and charge for it? Because honestly, like these small towns will probably pay for that, right? Because those networks, for example, up in those cities might not actually be great for data, right? They might not have all these towers set up like we do, right? So these Wi-Fi networks actually will be beneficial in those areas, right? Now, the only downside is you're playing to the fact that if a tower comes up and they have more coverage, etc., now that gets better, your business kind of goes down, right? But I think it's still like a pretty cool thing. Like, for example, New York tried it, right? And I think New York still has it where it's free Wi-Fi everywhere or something like that. They try to do this project. Why would they do that if it's like New York's probably the most connected connected. Yeah, that's fair. That's
Free
I
throughout
get-
the city or free like on the subway and stuff?
It's saying everywhere, but probably the city. It's probably not the subway.
London has it too.
all over
somebody's
London,
footing the bill.
downtown London, because like Windsor
Yeah.
has free internet downtown, but like not all over Windsor.
I think Brampton also has free internet downtown.
Toronto is getting it too. Toronto's getting it too.
Brampton has free Wi-Fi in downtown. Bullshit.
I swear I've seen.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, it's not. I
Yeah.
mean, what you're saying is it's not that hard to implement, right?
Yeah.
Especially if
Got
you're
it.
doing it as like a government service.
That's why
Right.
it's probably done shit. But I think you can become a private vendor that provides that service
And,
for these
they
small
technically
towns.
are.
There is a private vendor. It's called Rogers.
Exactly. In the US, a lot of it is by the
it's Xfinity, right? Like
exactly Xfinity. Like a lot of the and like a big player is Verizon, I believe, or somebody. There's another big player that's all over. Like even the Wi-Fi in planes is by like I believe Verizon.
But yeah, I remember in the States that like there's a bunch of Wi-Fi networks you can technically connect to if you're a customer of the same provider.
Yeah.
Though as a customer myself, I would be mad cheese someone is hopping off my internet. I'd be like, nah, bro. Get the hell out.
Why would they be using your internet? Like
Because that's how, yeah. So basically, you have your own private network, but they also broadcast like a side network for other
Oh,
Xfinity
no way.
customers that like you
But-
can
they
log.
set up their nodes somehow or something like their own.
But wouldn't it be on top? Wouldn't it be on top of what the internet, whatever speed that they have? It would be in addition to that. So it's
You
not
would
really
think
affecting-
so. You would think so, but I'm very cynical, and I'm assuming it's just gonna rob whatever you're doing.
So what's the safety there? You get like turn off the Wi-Fi off their modem, do a wire connection to your own like modem.
Probably.
Yeah, or you could probably set up a subnet, right? Also, it's like I think you can do it so yeah, it's a subnet, so it doesn't actually you can't kind of go towards your subnet, and so people shouldn't have access to it.
It's not
And you
just
could-
I think most of the things like the speed and security.
yeah, that's fair. I don't know, and it's probably multiple nodes working together, right? It is a mesh network, so it's like I'm wondering if it actually. So I don't know enough about this, but I'm assuming they've kind of thought about these issues, right? Because if you create multiple nodes, it actually is likely using different nodes based on how far you are or the load on something. I'm sure they have some load balancing mechanisms built into these routing devices as well, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I have no idea about this stuff.
I'm sure
Clearly
what
neither do we.
everyone has an idea about is another interest rate hike.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one stung.
Honestly, 5%.
That one stung. Yeah.
Wait, you're talking about the one couple weeks ago, or did they
No,
make another
today.
one? Oh, it was
Today.
today. I missed it. Damn.
Yeah, the overnight rate is 5%, right? Yeah.
Officially to 5% now. We are there, boys.
Damn, bro.
I think I've hit my trigger rate by this point.
Mine's variable, so it goes it doesn't. There's no trigger rate; it just goes up.
Right. No, well, there's variable. Like, there's two types of variable.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Though I wonder what the data was to like support this rate hike.
They're saying it's because of the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate hasn't increased.
That's
The
a-
job
I-
market is still strong.
I wasn't even saying job market. I'm just like, it hasn't broken yet. Let's keep going. Like,
That's literally it. That is literally it. They're like, they freaking keep working.
Damn it!
God damn
But
it.
it's funny because inflation is down. Inflation was down to 3.4, I believe it was 3.4% the month before. So it would be for the month of May. And so this month's or June's data should come out soon. And that should, it should drop too. Yeah. It's interesting that they're still raising because I think they did enough and they just got to let it play out. But clearly they're not happy. I guess
Yeah.
Ali have a point there. Didn't break.
it hasn't broken yet, man. It's like, why?
Okay, this is the thing I imagine, right? They're looking at these reports, right? And they're like, jobs are up, right? And they're sitting in these ivory towers, and behind, all the other buildings are burning. Like, they're like, but the report says. They're like, they don't even look outside. And it's like, but the report
Yeah.
says. So, and I think that is the case, right? Where it's like on the street, shit's on fire, but it hasn't translated to these reports yet. It hasn't translated to their data yet.
Yeah.
And therefore, they're still making decisions off of it. And once it does take effect, it's just going to be like, you
Yeah.
know?
I think what it is also is that like all of the effects are disproportionate, right? Yeah, like I guess all this is disproportionate because I think during COVID, the people that like really benefited it really built up a ton of savings, right? And they're still living off those savings, whereas like obviously the people that were negatively affected, they didn't have that kind of like safety net. So I don't know, these job reports and economic health is like very disproportionately showing the side that's like has done well, and they're like, oh, these people can take more, but then it like kind of forgoes the people that really didn't go well, right?
Right. And also it's like it could be a different aspect of the economy, kind of like what you said, right? Like for example, tourism went really down in COVID, and now all those jobs basically came back, or like 75%, let's say, or 50%, right? And so overall job growth went up or stayed the same, but the problem is not really, because it got balanced out. There's job growth here because now they needed it, and there was like a huge decrease here, but it still looks like there was job growth, right?
You know who hasn't been raising interest rates and actually has cut them? China. To deal with a bunch of problems that like have been popping up between like their real estate market, youth unemployment, like slowdown in like people actually buying from China. It's starting to look hairy.
Interesting. Yeah. So it's like I've been like conflicted about these two viewpoints, right? So Tran and I watched
guys see
this
this?
video by Peter Zihan and then Balaji, right? What are we seeing here, Tran?
Never mind. You changed topics. Just keep going.
It was the CPI index.
Yeah, no, it's still the same topic. So Peter Zihan and Balaji, they have very conflicting views. I would love if they kind of argued, or they kind of had a debate. That would be really cool to see. But they have very opposing views. Balaji's like, yo, they're the manufacturing world basically the world's manufacturer, China, right? They have capacity to build 200, 300x like Navy ships, etc., relative to the US, apparently. I just saw that recently. And that's been confirmed by the US Navy, apparently. But then Peter Zihan's like, yo, China's done in like 10 years, right? So it's like there's such opposing views where I'm like, what's going on? Like, I don't know what to believe. I get both sides, right? Like the manufacturing of the world, get it, the GDP, etc. China has all that, right? But then Peter Zihan makes sense too. His aging population, youth unemployment, real estate issues, who's going to work in the next like 10, 15 years when all those people that did work, were the workhorse of China, are now retiring, right? Like what's going to happen? Plus their population is decreasing because of the one child policy, right? So it's like all these factors, and taking those into account, then you're right. It's like, is China going to do well? We don't know. And so then does US thrive by default, right?
India's booming.
India is booming. I was just going to say that like...
Yeah.
That's not an answer to my question.
It kind of is. It kind of is, though, to be honest. Like, I'll start by saying that, like, what's it called?
Like, can Teslas charge? We don't know, but the sky's blue. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, Zihan is, like, I guess, an extremist to one degree, but I kind of lean towards his response or his answer, just because, like, China is manufacturing right now, but it's never has been something that's value added, right? All the high value stuff was always, or like the technology behind it was always gate kept by like America, UK to a certain degree, right? Especially now that they're cutting off like advanced chip manufacturing.
Taiwan, yeah, fair enough.
Well, until China started sending their kids here to study, and then they went back home and started building businesses.
It's not that simple. It's
well,
not
like
that simple.
Huawei or whatever, right? That's a fully Chinese created company, right? That probably has technology that's...
None of these technology stacks are like completely integrated, right? They still rely on stuff from the West. Like there's a video about how America banned the import of like certain like machines that would make the chips or make the equipment to make chips, right? Like these are like advanced materials in the chip manufacturing pipeline, right? And they've started, a bunch of companies have already started migrating away from China in terms of manufacturing, right? They're building... not even always politics, right? Sometimes it's just cheaper, like to build a factory in Vietnam or Laos or India. Like India is getting an iPhone factory.
Yeah,
that's because iPhone is heavily reliant, or Apple is heavily reliant in China, and then they're like, "Oh shit, we've made a mistake by not pulling out as quickly," right? They're like 90% of their, like, it's crazy how big a percentage of their supply chain is there.
Yeah, supply chain, exactly. And they move some of it to Vietnam too.
So yeah, there's all that stuff where it's like between the politics and the economics of sometimes moving stuff out of China is cheaper and probably be better. That's why I think like I'm taking more of Zihan's viewpoint versus Balaji's.
Yeah. we'll see how it plays out, but I think a debate amongst them two would be really interesting to see because they're both very, very well spoken, and they believe they have like huge conviction in their kind of viewpoints, and it'd just be good to see who has all the facts, right? And then just can argue with facts, because Balaji literally just cites all his facts as well, right? He's like this, and this is why I believe this, or whatever, right? So it'd be interesting to see.
Well, he was wrong on the Bitcoin prediction.
But I think he knew that. To be fair,
Yeah. It was a marketing play.
I believed it though, to be honest, because it's like, yeah, I know you didn't believe it. We've had this conversation, right? The reason I kind of had a inkling of like, okay, it could be possible, is because we've seen in the past when economies have hyperinflated, and nobody ever thought, oh, it could happen in a week. It's like that would never happen, but it's happened. Like Venezuela, it's happened, right? And
Zimbabwe.
sure, yeah, like sure, we aren't those countries, right? Like it's the United States of America. It's not going to be inflated just as quickly, the reserve currency of the world, right? But never say never, sort of thing, right? That was my point. Yeah.
So an episode.
Guess we're done.